landing gear deployed.
Commence pre-flight checklist, Commander.
Scan detected.
You are clear for automated approach, Commander.
collapse are the new four dark horsemen that threaten humanity's future. We therefore offer to host a galactic summit where the Alliance, Empire, and Federal...
Retracting.
Landing coupler disengaged. You are clear to leave.
May debate these problems peacefully. My sincere hope is that the heads of state grasp this opportunity to resolve their differences and create solutions that benefit their peoples. Utopia is an independent society with a focus on using highly advanced technology to increase quality of life. Should this galactic summit take place, it would be the first diplomatic meeting of all three superpower governments. Thargoids attack Coalsack and Witchhead nebulas. Pilots Federation alert. Large numbers of Thargoid vessels are swarming through multiple inhabited systems, leading to urgent calls for assistance. In what appears to be a coordinated strike, Thargoid scouts and
Shift drive charging.
interceptors have appeared throughout the Coalsack and Witchhead nebulas. Local security ships have engaged them in combat, but report being overwhelmed.
You have cleared the no-fire zone.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
The Alliance has a considerable presence in these regions, with 4 starports recently constructed in the Coalsack Nebula. But the Alliance Defense Force has not been able to mobilize in time to prevent some systems from becoming infested with Thargoids. Admiral Aidan Tanner, Chief Military Liaison for Aegis,
Fuel scooping.
made this announcement. This is a resurgence of Thargoid activity on a scale that we have not witnessed for a long time. Unfortunately, drastic reductions in funding and resources mean that Aegis is unable to provide adequate defensive measures. We urgently request support
Fuel scoop disengaged.
from independent pilots and anti-Xeno squadrons.
Fridge. Shift drive charging.
It is critical that we prevent the Thargoids from dominating these nebulas and wiping out many thousands of people. Lakon Spaceways faces financial collapse. Economic
4, 3, 1. Engage.
instability has caused the value of shares in Lakon Spaceways to drop to unprecedented lows, placing the company's future in doubt. A hostile takeover bid by federal corporation Core Dynamics has raised concerns that the Alliance over the loss of a major defense contractor. The Independent Commission for Market Equality has also
Fuel scooping.
reported irregularities in the recent transfer of share ownership, which may lead to criminal investigations. As a result, although Lakon Spaceways continues to manufacture and sell ships, its lack of reserve
Fuel scoop disengaged.
and a loss of confidence among investors may lead to insolvency and dissolution. Trent Delaney, the newly appointed chairperson of Lakon's board of directors, announced, "Financial mismanagement and a litany of poor business decisions have led to this situation. Rest assured that once
Fridge. Shift drive charging.
formal negotiations with our new parent company are complete, Lakon's stock will rise to new heights." According to federal business analysts, there are indications of displeasure among Core Dynamics seen
4, 3, 2, 1.
directors regarding this takeover. An anonymous source from within the corporation told Vox Galactica, "The Lakon merger is entirely Jupiter-Rochester's project. Frankly, it's sheer. Our income has soared recently with new commissions from the Navy, but Rochester's grabbing hands are always reaching for something. He runs the
Fuel scooping.
departments that are loyal to him like they're his personal kingdom." Coalsack Nebula terraforming project stalls. Sirius Atmospherics has delivered an update on its experiments to terraform ammonia worlds in the Coalsack Nebula. The subsidiary of Sirius Corporation is working closely with the Alliance to exploit the nebula's resources and pursue scientific investigation, including terraforming terrestrial planets with ammonia-based atmospheres.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Project Director Dr. Maximilian North gave his progress report. Preliminary efforts at ecosphere conversion have delivered promising results, but our new techniques are not as effective as the simulations based on exploration data suggested. We are still a long way from fully transforming these worlds into
Frameshift drive charging.
habitable environments. Independent journalist Flint Firemaker Lafos commented on this via the Rewired network. Does anyone really believe Sirius is there for the terraforming? Of course they can't.
4, 2,
Magically turn ammonia hellholes into paradise planets overnight. I know a cover story when I smell one. I wouldn't be surprised if they're deliberately trying to provoke the Thargoids for some reason. Maybe to capture some specimens. Where there's Xenos, there's credits. The Alliance has corroborated Dr. North's report, but also
fuel scooping.
confirmed an increase in Sirius Corporation personnel and equipment arriving in the Coalsack Nebula. Alliance shelters new Marlinist refugees. Tens of thousands of Marlinist refugees have claimed sanctuary in Alliance space after emigrating from the Empire to avoid political
Fuel scoop disengaged.
persecution. In recent weeks, there has been a steady
Frameshift drive charging.
stream of ex-Imperial citizens arriving at Alliance systems, mostly traveling aboard small private vessels or in the holds of cargo ships. The humanitarian aid organization
4, 3, 1. Engage.
Guard Interstellar reported that accommodation and basic necessities are being provided. Alliance Interpol is running stringent security checks for evidence that members of the NMLA terrorist group are present. The initial wave of refugees, which fled to the Federation, are currently preparing to populate a number of independent
Fuel scooping.
colonies established by the Sirius Corporation. However, these systems cannot yet provide harbor to the
Fuel scoop disengaged.
continuing exodus of Marlinists from the Empire. Prime Minister Edmund Mahone publicly welcomed the refugees, but there has been some dissent in
Frameshift drive charging.
the Alliance Assembly. Councillor Nakato Kane, who is expected to be Mahone's main rival in next year's election, received widespread support for her views. Naturally, we must provide these
Ready to engage.
poor people with emergency aid, but there are practical limits to our resources. It is not our responsibility to solve the Empire's domestic issues, and we have seen the Federation pay the price for
4, 3, 2.
sheltering terrorists. The Alliance cannot end up as the dumping ground for other superpowers' problems. Investors take control of Lakon Spaceways, a coalition of Lakon Spaceways shareholders.
Coming mission critical message.
Has voted to replace several members
Fuel scooping.
of the company's board of directors with new management. At an emergency general meeting, investors put forward a resolution to remove selected directors in accordance with Lakon's Articles of Association. The majority vote was in favor of this resolution. New appointees to the board have already stated that the rejected bid by federal shipbuilder Core Dynamics will be reappraised. Jupiter Rochester, the corporation's CEO, has welcomed the opportunity for fresh discussions. Chairperson Naomi Landseer, who is one of
Fuel scoop disengaged.
the directors being replaced, told Vox Galactica, "It's no coincidence that the board members being voted out are the same ones who are against Core Dynamics owning the company. I am convinced that Rochester's people are bribing or threatening our shareholders to make sure this hostile takeover goes through. Lakon Spaceways is currently offering a 30% discount on sales of ASP Scout S, Diamondback Scout S, Keelback S, Type 7 transporters and Type 10 defenders. Core Dynamics has applied a 30% markdown to sales of the Eagle Mark II and the Vulture, with a 20% discount for Federal assault ships, Federal dropships, and Federal gunships. Terrorism respite as Marlinists prepare for new homes. As independent colonies are set up for Marlinist refugees, there has been a lull in terrorist strikes from the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army. In recent months, the paramilitary group launched multiple attacks across the Empire. Starports and administrative buildings were bombed and dozens of individuals assassinated, including Prince Harold and more distant members of the Duval family. However, the number of incidents has fallen drastically following successful operations by the Imperial Internal Security Service. After the Federal Security Service identified NMLA members aboard the emigrants' megaships, these were transferred to us for interrogation. We obtained information that enabled us to shut down many terrorist cells, although there is evidence that the NMLA's network remains widespread. In related news, hundreds of thousands of Marlinist refugees are preparing to occupy new colony systems established by the Sirius Corporation. Mass transportation will take place early next year, overseen by Safeguard
Mission. Objective complete.
The Empire, Federation and Sirius Gov have all agreed that the settlements will remain fully independent. The refugee population has already begun to determine its future social structure based on the principles of Marlinism. A transitional parliament has been formed by community leaders such as Dr. Jenna Fairfax, Aaron White and Amrita Ross. Democratic elections for a representative government will take place once the Marlinist colonies are operational. Uncertainty hits takeover of Lacon Spaceways. The purchase of shipbuilding company Lacon Spaceways by Core Dynamics is in doubt after allegations of illegal business practices. Earth and Karim reported on the recent developments for the Alliance Tribune. The Independent Commission for Market Equality has confirmed that several Lacon shareholders sold their stock to shell companies, which were covertly established by departments within Core Dynamics. Furthermore, two serious
Shift drive charging.
accusations of blackmail have been referred to Alliance Interpol. Trent Delaney, Lacon's newly installed chairperson, has dismissed these claims, but coupled with serious rumblings,
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
the Council of Admirals over losing a military supplier, this hostile takeover now looks less certain. In the Federation, the newsfeed sold today ran an editorial piece on the situation. Acquiring Lacon is another bold triumph for manufacturing Colossus Core Dynamics. It's a shame that it's being undermined by the
Fuel scooping.
bureaucrats of the Alliance, who should be gratefully grasping this financial lifeline. It's also laughable that CEO Jupiter Rochester, one of our titans of industry, is being stabbed in the back by old-fashioned colleagues who are clearly jealous of his success. Perhaps his Jupiter division has finally outgrown the corporation and deserves to forge its own path. New Marlinist systems request emergency food supplies. Pilots Federation alert. The newly settled Marlinist colonies have asked for urgent deliveries of foodstuffs.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Millions of Marlinists have relocated to aid systems colonized for them by the Sirius Corporation, thereby reducing tension between the Empire and the Federation. They have asked Universal Cartographics to delay a census of the system's populations, while the refugees lay the infrastructure for their new societies. The Marlinist factions are holding democratic elections to select their leaders. However, the Transitional Parliament has declared an emergency due to the shortage of food stocks. Community spokesperson Dr. Jenna Fairfax announced, "We are grateful to the galactic community and Sirius Corporation for providing homes. However, we need further help to feed our people in the short term, until we can become self-sufficient. The more supplies we can stockpile, the faster our economies will develop. This in turn will allow us to offer greater commodity discounts to encourage the establishment of regular trade routes. Pilots are asked to deliver animal meat, fish, fruit and vegetables, and grain to Stillman Hub in the HIP 22550 system. As this system's defense forces are still being formed, the Free Marlinists of Carini have offered bounties on all wanted ships to secure these initial trade runs to the Marlinist colonies. Xenological samples delivered to Colonia. Pilots Federation alert. The Holloway Bioscience Institute has rewarded pilots who delivered living matter extracted from space-dwelling organisms. Many shipments of seed pod tissue samples arrived at Shack Station, from where they will be transported to the Holloway Biology Center on Colonia 7G. These will be used to replenish stocks used in the facility's experimentation program. Dr. Roy Casimir, chief researcher at the center, expressed his gratitude. These vital supplies mean that we can resume our studies on the incredible organisms that float through the void. Here at Holloway, we're making many breakthroughs in the field of xenobiology, some with intriguing commercial possibilities. The Holloway Bioscience Institute now plans to establish experimental habitats for vacuum lifeforms in the following systems: EOL-PRU PCKC9221, EOL-PRU
Frameshift drive charging.
WLC899, EOL-PRU KWLC8301, EOL-PRU PCKC9154. Pilots who contributed to this initiative can now collect their
4, 3, 2, 1.
rewards from Jacques Station in the Colonia system. Core Dynamics Insider discusses Lakon takeover. An anonymous source within the shipbuilding corporation Core Dynamics has revealed details behind its hostile takeover of Lakon Spaceways. The nameless insider
Fuel. Scooping.
had previously stated that the acquisition of Lakon was the personal project of Core Dynamics CEO Jupiter Rochester. These additional claims were broadcast via Vox Galactica. In the last few years, Rochester has purchased many companies based outside the Federation, such as Vodal. Lakon Spaceways is just the latest. It seems legal, but he manages these subsidiaries directly and installs his own people there. Some say he's diversifying his family's private holdings rather than expanding the business. It's well known that several departments only follow Rochester's directives and operate in silos unconnected with the rest of
Frameshift drive charging.
Core Dynamics. Staff refer to them as Jupiter Division. Some officers even started using that name, like they're a separate company within a company. I've heard that some directors are unhappy.
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Rochester, but he's too well connected to ever get rid of. It's thanks to him that we have so many military contracts. As always, the rich get away with anything. Core Dynamics declined to comment on this statement. Naomi Landseer, former chairperson of the Lakon Spaceways Board of Directors,
System scan complete. Fuel scooping.
has asked the Independent Commission for Market Equality to investigate further. Date set for trial of Fleet Admiral Vincent. Fleet Admiral Lucas Vincent of the Federal Navy will stand trial on the 25th of January, charged with conspiracy, commit murder and treason. The Federal Attorney's Office has successfully obtained a grand jury indictment against Fleet Admiral Vincent. He is accused of arranging the sabotage of presidential vessel Starship 1 in 3301 to assassinate then-President Jasmine Halsey. Although she was later recovered alive, hundreds died when the ship was destroyed in flight. These charges were brought following the trial of Rory Webster, a naval technician who was implicated in the failure of Starship 1's hyperdrive system. Mr. Webster confessed his involvement, but offered a plea bargain by providing evidence that he was following clandestine orders from Vincent. The subsequent arrest caused repercussions in military and political circles. President Zachary Hudson's long-term association with Vincent resulted in Republican congressmen losing confidence in his leadership and increased the Liberal Party's popularity. As a naval chief of staff, Fleet Admiral Vincent is the highest-ranking federal military officer to ever stand trial. Media interest remains intense, with much public speculation about corruption among the Federation's highest echelons. The trial will take place at the Federal High Court in Olympus Village on Mars, and is expected to last several weeks. Aegis supports Galactic Summit. The organization Aegis has expressed support for Utopia's offer to host a galactic summit for all three superpowers. Aegis was jointly formed by the Alliance, Empire and Federation to study the Thargoids, and develop new methods of monitoring and combating their forces. Professor Albert Tesreau, head of research at Aegis, gave this statement. Humanity's focus on petty internal conflicts has blinded us to the existential threat of the Thargoids. Their recent horrific attacks should be a wake-up call to the fact that these
Frameshift drive charging.
funding has crippled Aegis's ability to offer protection. We strongly entreat our founders to come together and channel resources toward Aegis, and particularly into research. There can be no hope of...
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Existence with this alien species unless we increase our understanding of them. No official responses to Utopia's proposal have been made as yet. However, Prime Minister Edmund Mahone,
Warning. Taking heat damage.
Aisling Duval and Shadow President Felicia Winters have all signaled
Fuel scooping.
broad approval of the idea. There are reports that many congressmen, councillors and senators are pressuring
Fuel scoop disengaged.
their respective leaders to attend the
French. Shift drive charging.
diplomatic conference.
Four, three, two, one. Engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. French. Shift drive charging. Four, two, one. Engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, one. Engage. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging. Ready to engage.
Alpha. Welcome to this independent station, Commander. Please fly safely during arrival and departure. Access granted. Prep for arrival on landing pad 39er. You are clear for automated approach, Commander.
Scan detected. Landing gear deployed. Incoming mission critical message.
Touchdown confirmed. Clear to disembark. Welcome to our starport, Commander.